So, what if I told you that the key to truly great leadership isn't about picking one strength and sticking to it? What if it's actually about mastering the art of the opposite? Today, we're going to dive into the 8 paradoxes of great leadership, a really powerful idea from Tim Elmore. We're going to focus on 2 of the biggest paradoxes to see why this kind of balancing act is so critical in the crazy, complex world we live in now.
It really all starts with a mystery. Back in 2020, something really strange started happening in the corner offices of the world's biggest companies. Leaders, top-tier leaders, just started leaving. So many, in fact, that Fortune magazine actually had to give it a name. They called it the Great CEO Exodus.
And we're not talking about small companies here. These were absolute household names. The leaders at Disney, IBM, MasterCard, Harley-Davidson. The list of people stepping down was just staggering. It was this huge, flashing signal that the old way of leading just wasn't cutting it anymore. The job itself had gotten way, way harder.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into what's really behind this great CEO exodus. Then, we'll get to the good stuff, the paradoxical solution that today's world is demanding. We'll make it real with 2 amazing stories. One about finding the balance between confidence and humility at Disney, and another about using vision and blind spots to create Spanx. And you're going to want to stick around to the end, because we'll wrap it all up with a big takeaway for your own leadership journey.
So really, what is driving all these leaders to quit? Well, the answer can be summed up in one powerful acronym that the U.S. Army War College came up with to describe, modern life. It's called VUCA.
VUCA. It stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Think about it. A world with constant, rapid change, a 24/7 news cycle, global crises. It's like a nonstop pressure cooker. Now that word complex, that is the one we really need to zoom in on. To get why it's such a game changer for leaders, you have to understand the huge difference between a problem that's complicated and one that's truly complex. Okay, think of it this way. A complicated problem is like a really hard math equation on a chalkboard. Sure, it's difficult, but it's static. It just sits there. If you take a 30-minute nap, you can come back and the problem is exactly the same. A complex problem, though, that's a whole different beast. That's like being an air traffic controller. If you take a nap, you wake up to absolute chaos. The situation is always moving, it's always evolving, and new problems are popping up every single second. That is the world leaders are dealing with right now.
So, if the old, straightforward way of solving problems is useless in a complex world, then what in the world do you do? Well, you have to completely change your mindset. You have to learn how to embrace paradox.
F. Scott Fitzgerald actually nailed this decades ago. He said the real test of a sharp mind isn't picking one side. It's about being able to hold 2 totally opposite ideas in your head at the same time and still be able to get things done. That, right there, is the heart of paradoxical leadership.
Okay, let's make this real with our first paradox, that tricky, delicate balance between confidence and humility. And honestly, there's no better case study for this than the story of 2 very, very different CEOs at Disney.
Just look at this table. It's like night and day, right? On one hand, you have Michael Eisner. His confidence tipped over into straight-up arrogance. He looked at potential partners like, say, Steve Jobs at Pixar and saw them as threats he had to fight. His ego created battles everywhere and, it eventually cost him his job. But now, look at Bob Iger's approach. His confidence was grounded in humility. And because of that, he looked at the exact same situation with Steve Jobs and didn't see a threat. He saw a massive opportunity. By turning a potential enemy into a partner, he didn't just buy Pixar, he unlocked this whole creative strategy that led to getting Marvel and Lucasfilm, completely reinventing the company.
And if you listen to what Iger himself said, it all clicks into place. He knew that faking it till you make it doesn't actually inspire confidence, it just makes people not trust you. By being secure enough in himself to admit what he didn't know, his humility actually became the source of his real authority and his credibility.
So here's the big insight, right? Humility doesn't make you weak, it actually makes your confidence believable. It builds that trust and authenticity that makes people want to follow you. And this creates this incredible shift in your team. They stop feeling like they have to compete with you, and they start feeling like they're invited to complete you, to bring their best ideas forward to hit a goal you all share. It's a total game changer.
All right, that's paradox number 1. Let's move on to our second one and see how this all builds. Leveraging both your big vision and your own blind spots, told through the unbelievable story of how Spanx got started.
So you've got Sarah Blakely. She had this clear vision that came from a really simple frustration. But here's the crazy part. Her lack of knowledge was actually her secret weapon. With just $5,000 to her name, she broke every single rule in the industry because she didn't even know the rules existed. She didn't go to a trade show. She went straight to a top executive. And then that pitch wasn't quite working. She did something no one would ever do. She took the exec into the women's restroom for a live demo. It was exactly that unconventional, I don't know any better approach that got her noticed by Oprah and launched a billion-dollar brand.
And Blakely's own words just drive this point home. What you don't know can actually be your greatest strength. It frees you up from that, well, this is how we've always done it mentality and lets you blaze a totally new trail.
This story is the perfect example of this concept called rookie smart. It's this wild idea that sometimes not having experience is a huge advantage. See, veterans can get kind of paralyzed because they know all the rules and all the things that can go wrong. But a rookie with their blind spots, they're free. They don't see the walls, they just see the finish line and find the quickest and often the most creative way to get there.
Okay, so we've looked at how leaders like Bob Iger and Sara Blakely use these opposite forces to do incredible things. Now, let's bring it all home. What does this actually mean for you?
Look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Great leadership is not about being one thing. It's not a choice between being confident or humble. It's not vision or blind spots. The real magic happens in the and. It's about finding that sweet spot, that dynamic balance between these two powerful opposing ideas.
And here's why this isn't just some business school theory. In today's VUCA world, being a one-trick pony is a guaranteed way to fail. Learning to balance these paradoxes is what makes you tough, resilient, and able to adapt to anything. It's what lets you look at a threat and see an opportunity, just like Bob Iger did. And, maybe most importantly, it's what creates a space where your team feels totally empowered to bring their A-game.
So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. As you think about your own work, your team, your life, which paradox do you need to lean into right now? Do you need a little more humility to make your confidence really shine? Or maybe you need to embrace some of those rookie smarts to challenge your own vision. The answer to that question just might be the key to unlocking your next level as a leader.